Hello everybody, Panzer Penguin here, this time coming to you with an introduction to the Global War 1936 to 1945 board. I will be releasing a somewhat final version of my 1939 mod, but I've since moved on to this version, which is 1936, and as you'll see, it's a different board, some different units, but the rule set is much, in my opinion, much better. Um, Gameplay yet to be determined, as I have yet to play a game of this. I have done an experimental first turn a few times with a few different people, but now that the holidays are over, I'm looking to get this game started back up. So if you're interested in playing on weekdays after 8 p.m. Eastern, and on weekends, time to be determined depending on who's interested, feel free to add me on Steam under the same name, obviously, Panzer Penguin, and let me know you're interested, and I'll try and set a few different games up if possible. Um, so this video will be a introduction to the board. It's not finalized yet. I still have a little work to do as far as organizing the tray layouts and making the units infinite. But I have gone through and corrected everything that was wrong with the original version of this mod that was posted by somebody else. All the unit cards were for a completely different version and everything. So pretty much everything you see here I've created and put into the game. All these unit cards down here. Um, the layout, I went through the setup chart. I still need someone to go through and double check it for me. Fresh eyes always help. But this should be a pretty accurate version. So we'll get started. So right off the bat, from the top of the board, people always ask, "Oh, what's the recommended amount of players, etc." And this is taken right out of the rule book. This little chart makes it real handy. My opinion, it's 3 players. 3 to 6 players, I believe, would be the ideal number because, as you'll see in this version of the game, each country has specific goals. So the Soviet Union has goals that are different than the Allied nations. Um, so, in my opinion, if you have someone, if there's only 2 of you, it kind of gives the advantage big time to the Allied player because they can play towards one goal. Okay, don't care about the Soviet goal, so let's just focus on the Allied goals. While having 3 nations or 3 players playing as the 3 major powers, or not powers, alliances, uh, gives some greater variety. I apparently cannot speak today. Um, get on with the board. We do have a quick reference card down here on the bottom left. If you do the hold down Alt as you mouse over it, it makes the big version. This gives you some quick access to rules and information. It's also double-sided, so very easy to reference in game. I have the attack and defense chart. This one I made myself again. Um, Apparently, not everybody is familiar with NATO symbols, which to me is shocking. But I've been playing Hearts of Iron 3 on with cannons for a very long time. Um, so real quick, I'll just go over them real quick here. The little box with the X is infantry. With the little triangles on the top is special forces. So in this case, that's Marines and mountain troops and uh, whatever other unit may fall into the not regular infantry. Um, Not including militia. Militia I did not add to the board, and I forget why, but there is a reason for that. The X with the 2 little circles is motorized. The X with the circle around it is mechanized. The slash is cavalry. The dot is artillery. The little semicircle is anti-aircraft. The L within the circle, well, it's not really a circle, but whatever shape you want to call that, is light armor. That same shape without the L is medium armor, and the black stripe on it is heavy armor. I believe the reason I didn't put militia on the board is because their values are, I think they're both 2. Let's see, militia attack on a 1 and defend on a 2. So yeah, and there's also not a well, there probably isn't a whole lot of militia on there, but that's easy enough to remember. Attack on a 1, defend on a 2. I did add images for all the other units. Obviously, they don't quite match up with what you see on the board as far as the unit icons, but close enough. To the right of that, we have the combat tower, so you roll your die in there, as always, along with some extra die, just if they're handy. The industrial production points chart is also the turn tracker on the top, as you can see by the V2 rocket, and the dates. So each turn is 6 months, and it also, if you look real close, it's not the best quality image, but it does say, you know, uh, has date markers pre-war. So over here, July of 39, I should say, has World War II begins. You don't obviously have to follow that, but it's just on there. You may be a little confused as to why there are so many different trackers here. This is income tracker, these numbers. So when you see the country tracker face up, that's what their current income is. Um, does it match up with this? It may match up with the note on the side as far as starting income, but it may not. Um, the flipped over ones are what are called war goals. So um, when you look at the country card, it'll show you how you gain additional income. And once you get to your war goal income, you only gain more by conquering territories, but it allows you to go to war. Germany doesn't have one on the board because they're already at their wartime income, so they can go to war at any moment. Down here on the bottom, we have player mats, each for each country, and when you select your country and you change your color, your name will appear basically right above uh, the allotted area. Um, the country card, as we look here at Germany, you can also do the Alt button to pull up the larger version of it. Gives you an overview. There is a 1939 scenario you can play on this board. I do not have a setup for that. So we're obviously playing with the 1936, and as you can see here at the top, income and starting money 20, wartime income is 20. So Germany is already at war, or can go to war. Also tells you the wartime bonus income. So if you meet those requirements, you get additional income, not on the income tracker, but additional income. While to the right of that, you have the objectives for Germany and how they get their victory points. While just below that, you've got the overview of Germany. Kind of gives you a little background information on things they can do, along with the turn phases. If you're not familiar with that, they're pretty much the same as they are in Axis now, as in pretty much every version of this war game we've played. We flip it over. We have the special units up there on the top, their special abilities, and how Germany can declare war on different countries. Obviously, they can't declare war on Japan and Italy as they're allied, but they can declare war on pretty much everybody else. This also gives you the unit guide. It shows you the name of the type of unit, the attack, defense values, the movement, and the cost, and the special notes. For instance, if you look at medium armor and they're in the middle of the screen, you can only start building them in July of 1938 as Germany. I believe in this case, for the most part, all the purchase values and attack and defense values are the same for every nation. There may be a very slight variation for different people, but I'm quite sure they're all pretty much the same, as opposed to the 1939 version where you would have to look at each individual country card to see what their attack and defense and cost values were. If you look at the naval units down there on the bottom and right across from them, oops, the facilities, you may notice a few that say 444, 6655, etc. That means these units are a multi-stage unit, and that's what this production chart is here up above the unit card. In this case, Germany has 2 units that are ready to go, and they have one already in the queue as a battleship. So for stage 1, you pay the battleship. Let's see, you pay the 6, so they've already had the 6. So if they pay another 6, you move it into stage 3. If you play another 4, I believe, or nope, 5 goes into stage 2, and another 5 you get to place the unit in the place unit bot and deploy it. That is a little bit different the way you purchase units. Most units are immediately on the board, but as you can see by the images, certain units and certain facilities take time to build or upgrade. Speaking of facilities, they are a little different this time around. A major factory only builds 5 units as opposed to 10, while a minor only builds 1 unit instead of 3. Max damage for a minor is 5, even though it can only build 1 unit, while for a major it's 20. But you can build as many as you like in this game. I don't think anywhere on the board has more than 1 at this stage. But factories are important along with the railways, especially if you play with the supply rules. But more of that later in a gameplay video. Right above each production area and unit tray, car, whatever you want to call it, I have the actual units. And as you can see, as we look here at some of the German units, they're all sort of different shades of their same general color. If you look, we got German Marines, we got German Mountain Troops, German Airborne, German SS, German Militia, and regular German Infantry. The reason I made them all different colors is so that it's easy to look at the board and realize, oh, you may be going up against a militia, not an infantryman, without having to mouse over everything. The same for the cavalry. There are no actual horse units that I've been able to find, horse models. If anyone does have a fitting horse model, let me know. I'd love to add it to the game for the cavalry, which is this guy over here. Then we've got motorized infantry, mechanized infantry, and the SS, their special units. The tanks are also different colors between light and medium armor, and then of course the German Tiger special unit. I also did the same to the aircraft, so that the tactical bomber stands out from the medium and strategic bomber, while the transport plane also stands out. And if we look over here with the Italians, we have the same general schematics going on where the medium and light armor, or I guess this is the no, this is, they look very orange. Well, there's the Japanese, they're much more orange. But yes, same deal, different units, and then we also have the Italian black shirts, which are their special unit. It looks like I actually still have to add the transport version to the Italians, and maybe to everybody else, but like I said, I'm not quite finished with this mod. So there will be changes that you see compared between this video and the actual mod in the workshop, depending on how soon I update it. Over here we have the Chinese factions, and then the technology chart, which is also a little bit different. This one does give you directions on how it works. You pay 2 money, 2 IPPs, and you roll a D of 12. You have to match the number listed to move on to the next stage. Some countries already start with breakthroughs in certain technologies. So for the Germans, for instance, and the Russians to get heavy armor, they both have to roll 8 or higher. I believe these all are the same for every country. So basically, you want to do the opposite of combat here. You want to roll as high as you can to get the next technology level. In the middle of the board here, we have all the extra facility items. So we've got the air base, the naval base, the shipyard, the factories. I'll probably end up removing this one, the one that shows the 10. But these last 4, I'll have to rotate this guy, are somewhat new. As you can see by the bags, we've got rocket bases and radar stations, which you can deploy directly on the map. Damage, again, for the damaged capital ships. and also for factories and things like that. But the Escort chip here can be uh, used for two different things. So it's originally designed for the ability of aircraft, or I should say fighter aircraft, to go on a movement of one into a C zone to patrol it. Uh, so you would use this Escort chip um, for the patrol version. Uh, so when you have an aircraft who's out there flying around doing that, you would use that. And you also use it for when you assign ships to escort duty on the convoy lanes, which are these dotted lines going across the ocean. The dotted lines on land or railways. The damaged ships can be used when the railways are damaged, and rules and all that thing for railways and all that will be explained in a later video. I think that about covers it. There's really nothing else. I mean, we've got the usual occupation chips up here, along with the unit chips. So we've added the 10 unit chip, which is a dark blue one, for when you get that high in the unit count. So yeah, this is sort of a intro to the board. I hope that was informative. Uh, in the next video, I'll probably go over the different types of units. They're all basically the same as they've always been, but there are a few exceptions this time, like naval artillery. So, hope to see you on the board, and I hope you found this video informative.